I'm Mike Vandermoss, he's Pete Doherty. We're talking about the Packers by position. Today we take a look at the receivers and tight ends. Pete, your colleague Rob Domofsky said last month that the Packers might keep 7 wide receivers on their final roster. Now, that's crazy talk, isn't it?
It is, but so was keeping 5 tight ends last year, right? And however many fullbacks it was the year before, or fullbacks and tight ends. They've done some wacky things in the last couple of years with their rosters, so I don't think, while it's unlikely, I don't think you can dismiss the possibility that they would do that. There's still a decent chance that injuries will take care of the depth issues there, and they'd only keep 5 or 6. But they really like Burrell and Gurley, the 2 guys in the practice squad last year, and if those guys made a jump from last season to this year, a big one, could be hard to cut either of them, and maybe they just go light somewhere else, such as fullback.
You mentioned the tight ends. They did keep 5 tight ends last year. Would you be surprised if they did that again? That seems like a high number.
Can't imagine, especially with the receivers. If they want to keep 6 or 7 there, they've only kept 5 the last couple of years. So yeah, I would 3 would probably be what they'd shoot for, maybe 4, but I would think 3, considering it depends where some of the other strengths on the roster are, but that's one place where they went awfully heavy last year.
As far as their number 1 receiver, I mean, Greg Jennings is pretty much considered that, and yet Jordy Nelson had more yardage, more touchdowns last year. Is Jordy Nelson possibly their number 1 receiver this season?
I don't see that. The one game they lost last year, if I remember right, Jennings missed that game, right? And the offense did nothing against Kansas City, the one regular season game they lost. And Nelson has made huge improvements. He's a vertical threat. He scored 15 touchdowns. That's not an accident. But teams game plan to take Jennings out of the game, and they're not. They don't do that to take Jordy Nelson out of the game. I still think that's a difference between a good player and a game changer.
And you feel the Packers will re-sign Jennings to a contract extension?
I would think so. Those really good players are outstanding players, game changers. They're hard to come by. So I would think so. You never know. I mean, if Randall Cobb ends up, looking like a super stud this year, maybe they feel like they could save the money and spend the money elsewhere. But good players are tough to find. So teams, 95% of the time, they keep those kind of guys.
For Pete, I'm Mike. We're out.